Hey, this is Jeremy Rowland with the 5 Pencil Method team, and today we have a very special presentation for you. We've got some questions for Daryl about his latest portrait drawing project that was just released, and we're just going to go through some questions and see what Daryl has to say. Daryl, are you there?
Yes. Hi.
All right. My first question for you is one that we've gotten from quite a few people, and it's what made you choose the subject of Mr. Mulligan, as he's been named?
Well, it was a decision that we all made together, but there have been quite a bit of discussion on and requests from many of you out there that wanted to know how in the world I draw white beards, and it doesn't necessarily have to just be pure white. And we also don't want to just have everything just exactly the same value when you're drawing a white beard. So there's some real challenges in being able to show contour and depth and all those things that go along with calling it a white beard and expecting to be able to draw it. So anyway, let me just show you a couple of the things that people had seen, and so it's a real challenge to be able to get the white against the dark. And so these are some of the things I wanted to address, and some of the people had seen over the years, my white beards, and wanted to know how in the world I achieved them. So there's a number of tricks in being able to do it, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for us to be able to not only do that, but answer another question that people had, and that was that what do you do when you have somebody with darker skin? And I wanted to help everybody understand that there are things that you just do, whether it's a light-skinned person or a dark-skinned person, and then you keep adjusting depending on how dark you think you need to go to complement the drawing. But you don't always have to go as dark as you may think. As you can see right here, there's probably, this is a print and this is the actual drawing, but there is actually more value in a person that is obviously a lighter skinned person than this person with the darker skin. And I am a firm believer in not doing more than you need to, keeping it pretty simple, and also add as much detail as you want. So I guess that's kind of a misnomer, keeping it simple and adding the detail that you think will complement your drawing. But the thing about this is that I don't want to just kind of freak out and get in that mindset that I'm working with somebody who has dark skin, and so I better just really go for it, and I'll start out with my dark pencils and all those things. I want to depend more on features and things like that. That is going to really tell the story of who this person is with their character and personality, and add the value that I need to maintain contour, not have something go flat, not have something go terribly dark, as some of this actually does. It looks better in the print than it does in the actual camera view here. But some things can just go so dark that it no longer gives you the ability to really show the dimension and contour, skin texture, whatever you think is important. So those were some of the challenges in drawing this, and again showing people how to reverse out and draw white beards against a background or the face and have it be believable. So that was pretty much the reasoning behind it. It gave us a wonderful opportunity, and I think that was the main thing I wanted to do, is answer some of the questions and the excitement over being able to draw something from all of you a little different, and not be so intimidated because you use the same procedures. It's just how you the order you do it in, like I say, the amount of pressure you use with your pencil. So many things are very important. The materials that we use.
Yeah, speaking of the materials you used, I imagine some people would like to try it for themselves. What tools and supplies did you actually use to do this portrait?
Well, a lot of those things are spelled out in some of the free lessons. I repeat it quite often as I go through answering questions or coming up with a new subject. It's just nice to kind of review quickly and just see. But here is the paper that I use. I know some people, even somebody this morning was asking me in the community why I use an acid-free paper instead of a rag paper, 100% rag. Well, when I was younger, I used to always draw on 100% rag because that's what I was told would be the best possible paper for archiving your work and having it last and not turn yellow. And yet, as I was growing up, I was talking to my uncle one time, and I'm saying, well, I'm using this 100% rag and it's much more expensive. He said, well, he was a restoration artist at a well-known restoration artist at Huntington Library in California, and had traveled all over the world discussing these very subjects. And he told me that it is a complete waste of time, in his opinion, to use 100% rag because it is acid. It has an acidic quality to it. And so he said that as long as it is deacidified or acid-free, then it doesn't make any difference whether it was a wood pulp or a cotton material. It was the important part was having it acid-free. So this has really cut down on the expense. Once I realized that, I was no longer having to buy something for several dollars a sheet, and not everybody had it besides that. And I realized too that the more people became educated about that very thing, the more framers were able to increase the variety of materials that they could use as long as they were acid-free. And companies started, accommodating that and making acid-free mat boards and backing. And the encouraging thing was to use, again, the acid-free paper. Now this, I forgot to just say, this is a 300 series Strathmore Bristol. Well, here's the 300 series. And they may change the picture on here every once in a while, but it's a Strathmore Bristol, and it's the vellum surface. And I just find it is really a great paper, partly because some of your other papers, like the 400 series that Strathmore makes, it has a very consistent texture, almost creating a pattern. And I don't want to have that showing through when I'm drawing. I would rather have something a little bit more random and have it be complementary of the irregularity in our skin, on all the things that I can use this paper for to really capture textures, and it lays down well and it erases very well. So erasing without fraying your paper is something I think is extremely important. And then I have the 5 pencils. Sorry to just leave it blank here, but the 5 pencils that I use, we have them color-coded like this, that you can't buy them in these colors. But it really simplifies things, because otherwise, if you ran down and you say, well, I'm going to be prepared for every scenario, I'm going to buy every grade of pencil that they may have, you're going to end up with probably close to 20 pencils. And then there are other variations of graphite and charcoal and different things that you can use. But it just complicates it, and it gets very difficult to know what pencil you're picking up. You've got to identify it. So not only have we cut down on the number, but I went ahead and color-coded them, so when you're watching a video, you can quickly see what pencil I'm using, even though I want you to find out and experience that for yourself. I think it's really important to understand what each pencil will do, so that you don't have to worry about whether you're using the same one as me. You use the right one for the circumstance, and I think it takes away a lot of intimidation. Here is a kneaded eraser that I just realized I better reach over here and get this. This is usually how they come, in a square wrapped package, and then I reform them and I mold them into a teardrop. This is a tremendous opportunity to make adjustments, to maybe take some of the value off by tapping, and because it's round, it just vignettes away from the paper, and it just does a wonderful job instead of just creating almost a scar when you're trying to erase something by swiping something through. And I can take this pointed in and I can just pick out different things, and that's exactly what I would do in a situation like this, where I might find that I had something a little dark, and I can reach down there and just touch it off. And if you put the pencil with the right pressure and you're using the right pencil, you can easily remove or lift the graphite off the surface. The other thing that we use, and I don't use burnishing tortillons or burnishing sticks or paper stumps and all those things. If I'm going to distribute some of my graphite around, I will use this very soft camel hair brush. And it's a Lang nickel, and it's one that I've used for quite a number of years. I used to have a camel hair brush when I was a teenager, and I got it from some photographic supplies. And yet things keep changing, and you just hunt around and find where in the world is this being supplied now. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for me to use something that's still pretty controlled in size. It's a flat brush, and I can go ahead and just be careful about where I'm casting some of that extra graphite. And often I will not even use this. My object is not to just smooth something out so that it is, the equivalent of taking a tortillon and smearing everything around. And this doesn't damage the paper, and it doesn't change the texture of the paper. It just takes some of that graphite and puts it into areas that I can easily remove, such as taking something out and cleaning it up for a brighter highlight on the beard, let's say. And then the other thing that has become something that is very, very handy is the Mono Zero round. And it's just a small little eraser that works like a graphite pencil that you buy in a common variety store, but you can see that the eraser continues to come out further and further and or retracts. And I can shape up the end by laying it flat and cutting it off with an X-Acto knife and coming up with that nice fresh edge. And that also is a great way to come in and actually be able to clean up a whisker so that maybe I want it a little brighter. If I don't want it that bright, maybe I can go ahead and brush a little bit of the graphite back in there again. And so some of these are some of the main tools, unless you're getting into laying out your drawing. And so there we have other things that we take into consideration, and you'll find out about these in the drawing lessons. A straight edge is always wonderful to have. I use it often in the layout of my drawing so that I can come up with an accurate rendition. I also use a divider. And so the divider is a comparative measurement tool. If I want to know good proportion, how this relates to something else, I can take a measurement on my reference, and I can go to something else that's equivalent, and then I can go to that on my drawing, and then go back up and use that same measurement to find out how tall my ear is. It's just a simple recipe, and I go over it often, so it's not like you have to remember that from here on. But these are some of the important things that I often will refer to, and here they are. Isn't that a simple, set of tools and materials, and the paper itself? And you couldn't ask for something more economical. The paper is quite inexpensive as far as papers go, and yet I know that maybe some of you may not be able to acquire it at different places in the world, or you may not even have the money. And I'm always trying to be sensitive to that, because I've drawn for years not having the money to go out and buy all the things that I wanted. But this is a pretty simple set of tools and materials to accomplish some absolutely fantastic things. And so anyway, that's a little bit about the materials and some of the challenges about doing a portrait like we just did.
And like you said, you've got years of drawing experience under your belt. With this specific project, do you feel like you maybe learned anything new?
It's always great to go back and kind of test yourself. You may feel how to address a certain detail or try to create a mood, but every drawing is just a little different, and it's exciting because you have a chance to see if you can bring out that, again, mood, personality, catch those little character traits, create the depth that almost makes it feel like you could go ahead and just almost touch the dimensions. instead of working on a flat surface, and that's just like a, just flat as a piece of paper. But we can create those kind of illusions, and it's just wonderful because you have that kind of power in that simple array of tools. So I always like to see what I can accomplish and study my drawing and get a feel for it so that I can now become more aware or remind myself of some of the things that I've done in the past. This was fun too, because just like all of you wanted to know, how do I draw a white beard, and yet how do I do it on a black man, a dark-skinned person? And so I think all these were great opportunities to just have that exciting challenge. And I think many of you probably will feel the same thing often through your work.
Well, after doing this project, knowing what you know, what advice would you give to someone who wants to draw this project for the first time?
I think it's imperative. It's really important, to make sure that you know the fundamentals. There's some, I think, really important ways that I can help you because not all of us put everything down perfectly the first time. We want to be able to make those adjustments. So I encourage you to learn how to use the appropriate pencil for a foundation and gradually increase the values so that you can, again, take off what you find is maybe a little excessive. Maybe it's maybe your proportions were off and you may need to even move an eye or the corner of a mouth or redo the hair. And often these things are easily addressed if you will follow some of these very basic principles. I think it was really an important thing to understand, again, not to go too dark too quickly working with a dark-skinned person. And there's so many different ethnicities out there, and you want to be able to capture those, but concentrate more on the character of that particular ethnic base, and then add value as you need it, instead of just having that become so dominant that you can't even hardly see the detail. And it'll work out just fine because you're only going to see that drawing relative to itself. You're not going to be lining up a whole bunch of them and say, well, how come this one's lighter than that one and all that stuff. You work to express the drawing that you're working on at the time. And I would just like to encourage you to relax and not get too panicked out and take away that anxiety of, well, I've never drawn somebody like this before. I've never drawn a white beard before. And take the opportunity to follow those lessons so that you can understand the difference between contours and clean edges and full range of value and the direction of lighting and things like that. So,
all right, and I have just one more question for you, and this is one that some other people may have, but how did we come up with this name, Mr. Mulligan?
I started out the drawing, and we were laying it out, and evidently we ran into some technical problems, and went ahead and readdressed that class. We just completely repeated it. And so because we started over again, somebody came up with that term, Mulligan Man. It's an old golf term. If you didn't hit a good shot, you're allowed to go ahead and take a second one in some cases. And so that's exactly what we did. We just took a second start to it and got off to a fresh start because so much of that video did not work well, which is going to happen from time to time. We run into technical difficulties and gradually iron them out. And I think we've got a great procedure, and I think you'll enjoy the video and the product that we've been able to come up with. I just want to encourage you to take advantage of this series that we just put out. There's 22 lessons on 12 DVDs, and it's pretty extensive, and I think that you'll be able to address a lot of the things that you might feel challenged with or have an opportunity to advance your skill levels and have a great project besides. So go ahead and take a look at that, and we'd love to also have you in our studio class. All of these are opportunities for you to get some advice, get some feedback, and you can talk with some of the other students as well. So look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, and all of that is actually available now, and you can go straight to the webpage and check out all the information about this new project. You can see what it's all about, what the lessons that are involved are, and get to see some actual student artwork. All you have to do is click on the link right below this video. There'll be a link there, and you can click, and it'll take you right there. So we want to thank you so much for spending some time with us today. It was great to talk with Daryl.
Yeah, thanks for giving me this opportunity. It's always good to just kind of talk about some of the things that we do and encourage you in your drawing. And love the fact that you've been sending in your comments and giving us an idea about what some of your needs are and what you like about drawing.
Thank you, and thank you so much for being here with us. Take care.
All right. See you next time.